there's a lot of mixed sort of reactions to the show and very polarizing, the whole thing. It's a lot like Jake Paul, right? When you're trying to break through the noise and create media, like the worst thing that could happen is people don't care. With this one, people care.
Welcome everyone. We are here for another edition of The Flow Show. I got my man Joey Levy in the building. This is number 211 on The Flow Show. And of course, brought to you by Karate Combat. Special day today. Joey, appreciate you coming in, man. We've connected a few times. You're down the road. We got you in here today. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, excited to be here. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and you really are right up the road. You're on, I'm like 20 blocks north of you.
I love it. Well, your offices are amazing. I appreciate you coming here. We've gotten to meet there. David Woodley, we stopped in and had a good time. And of course, we're in similar spaces of gaming and entertainment and content. So I'm going to need a repeat. I'm going to book you for a repeat episode already because I know we're going to have too much to talk about.
Sure,
but
happy to do it, man.
Let's just dive right in. So you started, I believe, Simple Bet, if I'm not mistaken, or co-founder of that a while back. How is that versus Betr? And is it sort of does it feed into that? Can you tell me about Simple Bet first?
Yeah, so the high level difference is Simple Bet is B2B, whereas Betr is B2C.
Okay.
I actually started Simple Bet initially, and the reason why the name of the company is Simple Bet is because my vision was to build a direct-to-consumer product experience focused on simplifying the sports betting user experience. And what I mean by that specifically is I remember when I first looked at a sports book, and this was before PASPA was repealed and it was legal to do this, and you had Vegas and you had the online bookies and all that, and I would see like minus 175 money lines, plus 5.5 point spreads, 49.50/U delivered in something that felt like a spreadsheet. And I just felt like there was a lot of room to innovate on that user experience and make it a lot simpler and more intuitive for people who've never done it before, because if you've never bet on sports before, it's not intuitive that minus 175 means to lay 175 to win 100, for example. So, and this was around the time that like Robinhood was becoming popular as a day trading app. And I just kind of realized what could happen in sports gaming would be analogous to day trading, where you had these existing products like E-Trade, Fidelity, Charles Schwab that were really good for the power user who are familiar with how to do it. But it took a company like Robinhood to come around to create an incremental market to really simplify the user experience for people who've never bought and sold stocks before. And they unlocked kind of a new market. And I always felt like that was possible in sports gaming. So I started Simple Bet with that thesis, and then, was working on it as a project for a while, ended up reincorporating the company as a Delaware C Corp, headquartered in New York, operationally, with two co-founders, Chris Bevilacqua and Scott Marshall. And we formally did that in April of 2018. And a month later, the Supreme Court repealed the federal ban on sports betting. So obviously pretty incredible timing. And as a result of that, we decided to focus exclusively on US sports. And we, specifically realized that there was a real lack of back-end technology to support US sports betting product development, specifically around in-play betting and ultimately micro betting. So if you think of micro betting specifically, it didn't really make a lot of sense in a global marketplace driven by soccer, because if you think of a soccer match, it's a very continuous game. There's not a lot of moments to bet on. There's not a lot of scoring. But if you look at US sports like American football and basketball is not as great of an example, but if you look at American football and baseball, they're very stop and start, moment to moment, a lot of scoring and speculation over players and what they'll do next. That latter bit, really applies to basketball. But we kind of started forming this thesis that micro markets could be a pretty prominent way people bet on sports in America, and it didn't really make a lot of sense for the global market. So that was a big opportunity. We also realized that there was a lot of, difficult technology that would need to be developed in order to enable this to exist. So that's when, over time we pivoted Simple Bet into being more of a machine learning focused product development business that would distribute its products as a B2B company, where we would build these odds feeds that would enable micro markets to exist, both from a probability based pricing perspective, but also from a automated market mechanics perspective. The creation, suspension, repricing, and resulting of these markets is all done in real time based on real time match state data. And we would distribute that technology to other sportsbook operators and get a revenue share. So that's the path Simple Bet went down. And, we announced last week that the company was being acquired by DraftKings for up to $195 million. DraftKings was the first big customer for Simplebet and remains the biggest customer of Simplebet. But my vision was always to go after the direct to consumer opportunity, and nothing about the Simplebet opportunity changed that perspective for me. If anything, it led me to believe that it was an even bigger opportunity than I previously thought. So in late 2021, I was able to spin out Betr as a different business, as a separate entity, in collaboration and partnership with Simplebet initially.
And your co-founder is Jake Paul.
Yeah, on Betr, it's Jake Paul.
And
yes.
How'd that relationship come about? Have you known him for a long time?
Yeah, I've known him for a few years, and he was starting to do a lot of VC investing through Anti-Fund, which is his VC fund, and have gotten to know and become really good friends with Jeffrey Wu, who's his partner on that business. And they were doing VC investing, but they realized that with Jake's platform and his marketing capabilities, they would, potentially generate a lot more value, and at least, should attempt to incubate businesses as well. To, kind of have founder stock in addition to just equity investments.
Right.
And he was specifically interested in sports gaming as a category for some obvious reasons, right? He's, turned from a content creator on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram into a professional boxer. So he kind of had both the marketing expertise, which is really customer acquisition, as oftentimes the most difficult, expensive part of running a gaming business. So he had that expertise and audience, combined with the fact that he was really focusing on boxing, which is obviously a sport and it's covered by, all the sports media outlets. And this was also around the time that Barstool Sports was going after it. And that was obviously like a creator driven media business. And I actually continue to believe that the Barstool Sportsbook was a good idea. I think some of the execution could have been done differently and the outcome would have been different. But that was kind of in the midst of all of that happening, and ultimately decided that, marrying my very specific product vision of simple, intuitive user experience with a focus on micro and in-play betting, marrying that product vision and domain expertise and sort of operating capabilities with Jake's audience and marketing capabilities, the two of us could potentially build a challenger brand in this category that, over a long period of time could potentially be a category defining business. And, started the business about 2.5 years ago.
It was like August 2022, roughly, as you launched?
So that's when we launched Betr Media. I'd say we founded the company. We really started getting after it in January of 2022. Quickly capitalized the business. Very grateful to have had a lot of the Simplebet investors carry over and invest in Betr as well.
Yeah.
Also, some amazing net new investors too. And has raising money in this, has it been easy, fun for you? I think I saw like 50 million raised. I believe the co-founders of the 49ers, Boston Celtics involved. Yeah. So there's some sports team owners and, a lot of great institutional investors across venture capital and
saw Travis Scott, Des Bryant,
some celebrities.
So you got a mix of everything.
We have a really good mix. And, because I went into this knowing that, building a challenger brand, direct to consumer, real money gaming in a market where, you have FanDuel and Draft. Like, we've raised a little bit over 100 million of equity financing, and we're sitting here the Monday after NFL season started. And it's very possible that FanDuel and DraftKings spent more on customer acquisition and user bonus incentives over the last 2 weeks than we've raised in our entire existence. Right. Wow. So I wasn't naive to the fact that, we would need to capitalize this business in a significant way in order to have a fighting chance.
Right.
And, that's what we did and we continue to do. And we've had a lot of success on the fundraising side for a company of our age and scale.
Yeah.
But we're really unit economics focused. We're really focused on, competing in a way where we can't win playing the same game that FanDuel and DraftKings are playing, where it's just blunt force marketing across television and other forms of media. We have been very methodical about building a brand with Betr, with Betr Media, really focused on original short form video content that consistently goes viral on social media.
You got a new show now, right? With Haley Welch,
Talk to.
I love the name. Who came up with that name? It's so good. It almost is like you have to do it, right? It's just too easy. It's too perfect.
I agree, man. And the media gave us a lot of credit for the name. I mean, there's a lot of mixed sort of reactions to the show, and
Right.
Very polarizing, the whole thing. And,
For sure.
and I was telling you before, we started filming here, like it's a lot like Jake Paul, right? And when you're trying to break through the noise and create media, like the worst thing that could happen is people don't care. And with this one, people care, right? They have an opinion, either good or bad.
She again, she just was in this celebrity poker tournament, so I caught wind of that. I've been following along, and she just seems like a really nice person. So like, it seems easy to root for. You do see people like kind of how moment of fame and how she just seems genuine and nice. And how is that going to work? Is that going to be like a date? Is it a weekly show, or is it just how does the episodes work?
Yeah, no, on Tuesdays you're gonna have a show go out on YouTube. So subscribe to the Talk to a Pod on YouTube, and follow Haley Welch and Betr on social media, and
For sure.
You'll definitely hear about it. And tomorrow we're releasing the first episode, actually.
Wow.
We're obviously very excited about it, and think that and to your point about Haley being a really kind, humble person.
Yeah,
I mean,
seems that way.
she's awesome. She's been amazing to work with, and I think in a world where a lot of social media personalities and personas seem pretty manufactured, and there's a lot of fake lifestyle, fake appearances,
Right.
all that. You have somebody who's a kind, humble, normal person that resonates with a lot of America. And I'm excited to help Haley take this next step in her career with Betr and the amazing team at Betr Media, and think this can really go somewhere. So we're very excited about it. And to answer your question, the team at Betr Media, along with Haley, came up with the name, and
so it was like it was first like you want to have her as have a podcast, and then the name came, because I feel like the name's so good that it was almost like, even if you're like, we got to try.
We need to have a podcast because this
name's too good.
No, we wanted to work with Haley regardless of the name of the show. Okay. We did some brainstorming, and this was a pretty obvious one.
Because I was seeing something about the reports of the demographic for women. It's around 20%, if I'm not mistaken. Sort of in terms of Betr, it was, and I think the women, there are a lot of women sports fans. Caitlin Clark, obviously huge now, and it's like the betting and this sort of like everyone's this attention span is so low. I feel so like this micro gaming where you can bet on a drive, bet on an at bat, these type of things, it seem genius. And I know even Jake Paul, I read a quote from him where he's like, that's when I started wanting to be involved or bet some, because it's like a lot, it's like it went from season long fantasy seems like crazy now to be tied into a season long, have a team that you can't, like people want the daily, they want the slates, they want this, they want fast. So if you actually have in-game drive, something like that, and like maybe you can't watch, maybe you got kids and you only can watch actually 20, 30 minutes of the game, and you're actually like, all right, you know what, I'm here now and I'm going to watch this second half and I want to see the drive and I want to bet on that. Can you explain how actually that works, what you can do it in regards to quick betting?
You described it pretty well. Like it's it just, and I really like your analogy, and I've used it in the past to describe what micro betting represents to this market, because we started with season long fantasy, and then we moved to daily fantasy, and now in moment betting is almost like the next final version of going as granular as possible with when you place the bet or place the fantasy entry. If you incorporate micro markets into fantasy, which I think could be possible over the long run, from bet or lineup placement to settlement, this is the tightest feedback loop you're ever going to get. And you could go as granular as betting on the next pitch of a baseball game. Will it be a ball or a strike or in play? Play of a football game. Will it be a pass or a run?
I do want to just, as I'm thinking more about it too, I want to try to understand a bit about, it does seem like, I guess it's all about, it's the sizing, right? And the betting size. It's not like people are going to bet $1 million on a pitch, or I guess there's limits, but it does seem to offer in a little more of a possibility. And this, I don't like to go this direction in terms of like, something not, drive. It's like one thing to like pitch a game or like lose as an athlete, say there's some like shady stuff going on. But if you're like, oh, hey, like, you're up 34 to 10 in the game, and you see, I don't know, like, is there concerns on sort of some, because in sports, look, unfortunately it has happened. There is stuff where things go. We just saw the Ohtani crazy stuff, and he was sort of absolved, and it was his guy. You know what I mean? But is that a concern on this like micro quickly? Oh, miss a free throw, miss a drive. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing, or is that just
so I'm glad you brought it up, because this is exactly why this type of product and experience needs to happen in the regulated market, right? Because when you're dealing when you're in the regulated market, you're in some cases you're mandated, and in our case we're both mandated, and we go above and beyond, and sort of proactively pursue integrations with companies like Sportradar, BetGenius do a lot of these integrity monitoring services. ProAbet from I think they recently the company behind it recently rebranded to IC360. There's companies like ID Pair out there. There's all of these. And ID Pair more on user self-exclusion versus something like ProBet, which is looking at athlete behavior. But my point is there's a lot of tools that are highly effective in identifying potential integrity issues that the regulated operators are either mandated to or will proactively seek to work with to prevent any sort of issues from happening. And I think the Ohtani incident, and Porter on the Raptors had an incident. The only reason why we know about Porter is because he was placing those bets, I think, on DraftKings, and DraftKings saw some anomalies and reported it, and with a partner, right? So you know about these things because it's happening in the regulated marketplace, and that's why it's really important. Because as you know. And as most people, know or will realize over time, these products will ultimately be rolled out in one way, shape, or form. It'll either be regulated or unregulated. If it's unregulated, there's no way to enforce it or track it. If it's regulated, we have tools in place to help us. So
it does seem that way where sports, now it's just like they put the lines up on ESPN everywhere. It's like it's becoming it's taboo, or it's like in the UK and a lot of parts of the world, betting's been around forever. You go to local bar anywhere and bet. In the US was for trying to fight it, and now even like Vegas getting sports teams, and it just seems like they just kind of gave in. They were like, all right, everyone's doing it. It is fun, right? It is like it's like if you're gonna put a little something on it, people are gambling in every walk of life, like stock markets, hiring a nanny, whatever you're doing, you're gambling on things. So it's like, all right, you know what? If you want to put $5 on a drive or on a match or whatever, it's like that's I think what your point. People are going to do it. They're going to find a way to do it. So you may as well regulate it, and it sort of falls
do it the right
there.
way,
do it responsibly, and have the right. And I know it's responsible gaming as well, right? There's like the month I think it's September, which is funny because that's like the biggest probably month of sports gambling, and I think that's a big thing that I personally struggle with a little bit too, because I play poker. I played for so long, and now do more content. But even when I'm streaming on Twitch for 5 years, and I'm playing poker, it's hard, right? People listen, they're going to play, but also this like having some responsibility, be integrity or responsible with your gaming and your budget, because it is one of those things that is like there's addictions and different things, of course. So it's I know we're gonna have to repeat. That's a whole nother rabbit hole of a conversation, but I think that is something that's interesting too, because you're in a spot where you're providing something that everyone loves, most people love it, that want to gamble, want to have a good time. But how do you do it in a way where it's like you're not pushing someone to be, kind of do too much? I think that's a little bit of a tricky one, and I know you guys have done work on that and addressed it.
No, exactly. To address that point, like we take responsible gaming incredibly seriously at Betr, and we're still the only regulated operator to voluntarily and proactively ban credit cards as a depositing method, for example, because we do not believe that people should play fantasy sports or gamble with money that they technically do not have and incur debt as a result of that. And we think this should be table stakes across the board. There's some states that have already come out and said that they won't accept credit cards as a depositing method, but not every state has done this. In the states that have not done this, other operators are accepting credit cards as a depositing method. And
that's cool. So you guys you won't take it even if a state allows it.
Correct.
Wow.
We decided to take a stand on it, and we hope that others will follow our example over time.
That's in itself is a big deal, because that can get out of hand quickly. How do you compare? Now, I'm an investor in Prize Picks, and all the sites you've mentioned I'm alert to. How would you let's take a Prize Picks or DraftKings, some of the main ones, FanDuel. How do you compare with your model and what you're doing? Are you competitors? Are you adjacent? How do you kind of stack up with them?
Yeah, it depends on the business unit. So our flagship product right now is Betr Picks, which is a direct competitor with Prize Picks and Underdog Fantasy
So you're doing
Sleeper.
have parlays within Betr?
Fantasy lineups based on player projections,
Okay.
right? And Prize Picks, I think was founded, as you would know, probably 7 or 8 years ago at this point, and Underdog about 4 years ago, Sleeper about 8 years ago. I'd say we're probably in that top 4 at this point, but we launched Betr Picks only 12 months ago, right? So we're pretty brand new. This is actually our first full year being live with the product. So we're definitely the new kid on the block, but we've reached a pretty significant level of scale pretty quickly. And I think the reason there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think on Betr Picks, unlike Prize Picks, for example, you can 1000x your money, right? So if you get 8 out of 8 on your lineup and you have 4 boosted picks in that 8-pick lineup, you can 1000x your money. So we have users, every day trying to turn, $10 into $10,000, and it happens. It happens sometimes. I mean, we had one user recently turn $100 into $100,000 on Betr Picks, and that's a pretty amazing experience. And we actually flew him to Miami and had to meet Jake, and it was
it's
awesome.
Sort of like a casino in a sense, where if like someone hits a jackpot or a slot, it's like good for promotion. But is there some limits? I mean, what exposure are you taking? What's like the max on the return?
I think right now
can't sink you for 10 mil on a $100 bet.
I think the standard limit is 100 on the 1000x right now. We're evaluating that. But
one time bring them out. It's fun. You get 100 guys doing that. You might have to
look. It's all about entertainment value, and the thing is, for some users, as you know, and I'm sure we both have friends who are like this, I think turning 100 into 100K for anybody is an amazing experience. But some people want to be able to turn 1,000 into 1,000,000, right? Like that makes it more interesting for them. So whereas for most people, and myself included, being able to turn $1 into $1,000 is incredible too. Right. So it's we want to provide experiences for everybody that moves the needle for them from an entertainment
without risking the business on a random day. Right?
No, and that's why in some ways that's why it's kind of a power law business, right? Because as you scale, you could take more of that risk, and that's why we're just working around the clock here, growing this business as quickly as we can.
I got to ask you, I know we're going to lock in a second pod because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we
sure.
can maybe get Haley or Jake or someone to come as well. We got space, and we'll talk more for sure. But I got to know about your poker ability. Do you play at all? What is your gaming thing? What do you like to do if you're going to gamble? And do you have any poker acumen?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely used to be a lot more into it than I am now. I think I've just been. The thing with poker is, you got to be very patient, and you got to. And it's just, I've been just so focused on building this business that, committing to, hours of poker right now is unfortunately not something that I've been able to really do. But I love poker, and I respect the game and those who are great at it. And it's probably my favorite form. And then of course you have, blackjack, just for that quick sort of experience is awesome too. And But yeah, no, I mean, I'd say poker, blackjack, obviously, fantasy sports and sports betting and all of that as well.
Very cool. And again, I know you have a pretty hectic schedule. It's the busiest time of the year right now, literally the most busy. So I do appreciate you coming in, and we're going to make sure you make your flight today, and we will have a follow-up in the future. And what is the best way people can follow? Like, what if right now someone's watching, what should they do? Download Betr app? Is it on YouTube? Where can they get the most, where do they go right now to check it out?
Yeah, I'd say the most important thing, download Betr, play Betr Picks. It's available soon to be in about 65% of the U.S. population, including in states like California, Texas, and Florida. It's fastest growing product in the category. And, you could 1000x your money on the product. And then if you want to follow the business and the media arm, we're at Betr, at BETR on all the social platforms. I'm at Joey S. Levy if you want to follow me. I post, the key business updates. So if you're interested in the business side of things, that's where you could find me as well.
Very cool. And has Florida been pretty receptive overall? Like, are they happy you're here? Because I see, Dave Portnoy's down the road here. You're here. But there's a lot of people in Miami. Is it becoming a hotbed for gaming? And do you see that some big changes in the?
It feels that way a little bit, man.
Yeah.
And we're really trying to lead by example. And I'd say even beyond gaming, like Miami has historically not really been like a tech hub. Certainly not to the extent of like a Silicon Valley or in New York City more recently. But we're at Betr. We're headquartered in Miami. Most of the team works on site in person in Miami.
Yeah, you have an amazing office. It's really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, that's great.
No,
Haley's not going to come down and she's not going to do the show from there. That's not.
She'll do some of the shows down there
because you guys have the setup for all the podcasts.
Yeah, I think we're doing Nashville, LA, and Miami.
Very cool.
It's kind of I suspect where she'll spend her time, but no, Jake does episodes of BS with Jake Paul down here. Our whole roster of talent, Derek, Mikey Locks, JoJo, Caps Off guys, they're all here in Miami doing content all the time. But
very cool.
But yeah, we're definitely trying to contribute to Miami's technology ecosystem and build, contribute to building a real tech hub here. And it's, you need to have people working here. And
it does seem like people are flocking to Miami. I'm biased. I've been here, but I was here in 17, and I've noticed it,
which is super early.
Because it was like I was great, but like it's changed since COVID. It's just like, man, it's people are coming in. There's better restaurants, nightlife. As you meant, Brickell, money's coming here.
Yep.
Businesses are coming here. People are coming down. It just seems like it's really at a great place. A lot of buildings going up. A lot of new cool projects and sports. Messi's here. I mean, you name it. Things are happening.
No, the quality. I think people are realizing the quality of life here is outstanding.
Yeah.
Obviously, the lack of state income tax is helpful for people who are financially minded and. But no, it's a phenomenal quality of life and a really vibrant and diverse city. And it's also a travel hub. Generally, pretty easy to get to most places globally from here. So.
For sure.
I think we're in the early innings of Miami's growth. I mean, I think there's a world where Miami is, sort of alongside New York in terms of being a mega city in the United States.
For sure. I agree. We're in the right place. Well, I do want to make sure you make your flight. So we're going to wrap it up. This is number 211 of the Flow Show. We got Joey Levy in the building. He is going to be back and we will definitely be following up with him. And please give a follow on the social medias and check it out. Very cool app, very cool technology and doing some unique stuff here. So we will be following up. And again, thank you for the time and please make your flight and we'll see you back here soon.
No, appreciate you having me, man. We'll run it back.